Hello and welcome to another episode of Building Character, where, well, I guess the episode kind of explains what we do. We build characters.
We do build characters. We don't build your character. It's not like a self-help show.
Yes,
Except
yes.
it was.
The show's going to take a hard turn into Dixie and Eddy give life advice, which is probably not should be followed by anybody, particularly not Dixie or Eddy.
You probably give excellent advice, Eddy. I bet you do. I have faith.
I give excellent advice to other people. I just don't follow it.
Well, that's the best way of giving good advice. Is being a person who cannot take their own good advice.
There we go. There we go. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to make Legendlore characters. And on the one hand, it's not different because this is an Onyx Path game, and we do Onyx Path games here. But Legendlore is actually a source book for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And
I think you
usually
mean the world's most popular fantasy role-playing game, currently in its 5th edition.
The world's most excellent and popular fantasy role-playing game, currently in its 5th edition TM. Yes. And as that joke kind of alludes to, one of the wrinkles of the open game license people could use to make 5e games is that you can't actually reproduce the character creation rules. And so that they're not in Legendlore. And Wizards of the Coast does not have a PDF version available legally for the Player's Handbook for 5th edition. So
which means we don't have them because we don't pirate books.
Which means I'm using a physical book.
I didn't bring mine, but I trust you to tell me. I mean, like, really most of what you need is going to be in here because it still has your, like, editability scores and everything.
Right, yeah. I mean, it just comes down to the Legendlore book doesn't break down step 1 to this, step 1 to step 2 to this, right? And it's missing the ability to score modifiers and a couple of minor things. So yeah, there's
missing it.
It is omitted.
There we go. There we go.
So yeah, it's stuff I should be able to just kind of read to you as we go through.
So I've made a million D&D characters, so I feel pretty cool about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I Lockdown. I played a lot of D&D since Lockdown started. But on the other hand, I use D&D Beyond for most of them, so like it's a bit of clicking through buttons. And when I had been working on Pugmire for several years, Pugmire's kind of overwritten parts of 5e in my brain, so it's still good for me to have the book because it's okay, how is it actually supposed to be made? And on top of that, Legendlore has a few wrinkles of its own. So there's a lot of different options to play with.
So I assume that we're going to go with 2 visitor backgrounds, or do you want one of us to do Realmborn?
No, I think we should both do visitors. Okay. I think that'll be fun. And for people who don't know, one of the conceits of Legendlore is that you can play yourself right now who have been sucked into this world called Azoth, and you become effectively D&D characters. So it's a lot like the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon or any other kind of isekai style setting.
Love isekai.
So yeah, I think it's most fun because also it will give you and I a chance to kind of talk about how we view each other. So it'd be one part character creation, one part personality test.
Oh no, it is a self-help show.
See how I brought it around? See how it works together.
Oh, no.
All part of my elaborate plan that I made up on the fly. So I guess let's go ahead and ready to do the switch.
Oh yeah, you ready? You ready for a Did You Know panel, people?
Did you know?
Did you know this?
And here we are.
With the big character sheet.
Yes, it is. And you're going to see that this looks pretty similar to a 5e sheet, although I'm biased, I'm sure, but I mean, I actually kind of like the layout of this one a little bit better.
I like it better partially because of how it does with all the skills. Like, all the skills being next to whatever they go with makes me really happy.
And having the saving throw here bit is just frankly really nice. So what do we, I have the Legendlore book here too. So we're going to do like we usually do. But let's kind of, we actually don't really have to do too much hypothetical chronicle building because we're playing ourselves.
Right. Like the chronicle is we have been sucked into Azoth.
Right.
And now
we're doing a Twitch stream and then suddenly a weird thing happens and we're sucked in. And then there we go.
Did like Wayne's World, like
Yes. There we go. So that makes my character creation real simple.
Name
And
Dixie Cochran.
And we're all going to be level 1, so that's easy enough to do.
I think I'm more than level 1, but okay. No.
We'll talk about increasing your character perhaps after the show.
Yeah.
But okay, so when you go through, when you're a visitor, when you cross through, you have a couple of options. One of which is you could just stay as a human. Another option is that you can actually be transmogrified into one of the people of the realm.
I want to be transmogrified.
There we go. And you can pick whichever you want, and I'll kind of walk through them. But also, the rules do suggest what kinds of people tend to become. Which types of visitors tend to become which kind of people in the game. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we have the Bryzine trolls, which are, you're a witty, friendly person who's often misunderstood. People tend to judge you on your cultural background, outward appearance. People can't see past your troll. So, that's one kind of person that might become a troll.
Yeah, mine. I'm picking Pixie. I'm just gonna say that right now. So if you want to scroll down and talk about Pixies, you can. Are you gonna get transmogged?
I am, and I'm actually thinking dwarf, because the way dwarves in the realms are set up, they're a little more kind of insular and scholarly. Mm-hmm. They have a love of music and history, and also defining things through action, and that does seem kind of like me.
Also, were you an author, voracious reader, or natural storyteller, Eddy?
I am perhaps at least one of those things. Certainly do not.
Do you love music and have a good sense of right and wrong? I feel like
it's actually funny because I track my reading on Goodreads, and at the end of last year, it gives you a little kind of, here's how many books you read, and apparently I read like 453 books.
That's too many books.
Well, a lot of them are comic books, to be fair. Yeah. But yes, so let's scroll down to Pixie so people can kind of look at that real quick.
Pixies are great. I love their description.
You're not good with bullies. In fact, you're not good with anyone who thinks they're superior to others and can make them feel bad about it. True. So very much kind of prankster by way of educating people or karmic payback. Mm-hmm. And also very kind of fiercely loyal as friends.
Yes. I also like that you often see things others miss, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, mischievous rebel is as people see you. And something I like about the structure of these, it says, you were picking this as people see you as blah. Mm-hmm. It's a nice props to Steffi Devan, developer for this, for structuring this way, but it's a nice balance because it's not the D&D style of you are this race and therefore you must act this way. It's rather you are part of this culture and outsiders perceive this culture in a certain way. So you can decide if you want to follow in or break against it, because certainly stereotypes are real, but also sometimes stereotypes have at least some basis in fact. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice way to kind of play that middle ground without actually locking something in, which I thought is a cool touch.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so each people has specific traits that come with them. So there is an ability score increase. Now, this is from the culture you come from, it's not bioessentialism.
Right.
If you don't want to take that, and I think we shouldn't because we're visitors, you can instead get class modifiers.
Okay.
So I'm gonna suggest, unless you really want to, I'm gonna suggest that we take the class modifiers for ability score increases instead.
That works for me, yeah, because it should be based on what we were beforehand.
Right, exactly. So you have the book for all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Pixie Magic. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull mine up real quick. Bounce back to dwarf. So age, mature, blah, 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 4 to 5 feet tall. My size is medium. I don't think there's a size spot on the sheet, which is fine. I mean, that medium is pretty much the default humanoid size. I think you're the one that's small, yeah. Base walking speed is 20.
I'm tiny.
Oh, really?
I'm a tiny creature. Yes.
So speed is 25, which is typical for a dwarf. Advantage on saving throws against fear-resistant psychic damage. I'm gonna actually, 1 second. Kind of messing my thing here a bit.
I have advantage against being charmed, and magic can put me to sleep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this stuff over here for features and traits.
Yeah, that's where I'm putting mine.
Well, that is very small.
Yeah, because you put too much on one line.
I somehow always manage to forget that about fillable character sheets. There we go. That's something a little better. Okay, so Dwarven Metal. Next one is Dwarven Recovery. Once per turn's reaction to being damaged, if you're not incapacitated, you can spend and roll hit die immediately, which is really nice.
I have when it's like when I make a promise with somebody, you can both agree to it to turn it into a supernaturally binding pact.
Ooh.
You can do convoluted agreements and people owing pixies boons.
That's some fable shit right there.
I've also got pixie magic.
Right, you get spells automatically, right?
Yeah, I start out with minor illusion, and then I can at third level you can cast fairy fire once per day. Fifth level you can cast major image once per day. And also I speak pixie because of course I speak pixie.
And I gain proficiency in perform, so I can go ahead and mark that on my sheet.
Also, I can move through space of any creature.
And 2 musical instruments or other performance tools of your choice. So I'll just put. I'll just kind of put those here as placeholders for the moment.
I like this because I can move through the space of any creature, and opportunity attacks that are made against me by a creature that is a size larger than you are made with disadvantage. So even small creatures attacking me attack with disadvantage.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
It's pretty great. I'm very little. I don't do much damage, apparently, you know, as far as like physical damage, but
right.
It's hard to hit me because I'm like this big. Also, I like the idea that we were going through the portal into Azoth, and rather than taking my personality into account, the world of Azoth and its magic just was like Dixie. Pixie.
Right. You hit Azoth on a bad day, and they're just like, I don't know, that sounds about right. There you go. Okay, so that's step 1. Pretty straightforward. Step 2 is choosing a class. Now, there are a lot of the quote-unquote classic D&D classes, but there are new variations for just about all of them except for Ranger. Although I think Ranger has some other stuff. No. So Ranger's the only one that's unmodified. There are 2 new classes, Alchemist and Gunslinger. And like we mentioned before, here is the ability score kind of increase bit on the side here. So what classes do we think we are?
As people?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, and now remember, one of the things about crossing is that this is your idealized stuff, right? So it's not necessarily, it's what you see yourself as, and the world, the transition turns you into that.
I think you're a monk or a paladin.
Oh, okay.
Maybe? Does that make sense to you?
I could certainly see.
I could see a bard too, obviously.
I could see a paladin, honestly. Someone in the chat mentioned your audio is kind of low.
Yeah, stupid audio.
Audio.
I keep turning away from it. I'll turn it up a little bit.
There we go. So while you're doing that, paladins do have a new oath, which is an oath of fealty. So that's Guardians of the People and Swords of the Nation. So I'll think about that. Paladin sounds pretty good, so I'll kind of play with that. I'll maybe look in the actual book.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I guess you'll see saying bard. They have some cool bard stuff.
But I mean, dwarves in Legendlore are weirdly built pretty easily to be bards. But also I don't need to because I'm already getting like the proficiency for instruments and the performance and all that. So I don't need to necessarily get bard because I'll just be redundant. I'll get a bunch of benefits I can't actually use.
Right.
So paladin might make more sense. What about you?
I don't know. I picked yours. You have to pick mine.
So there's a part of me that's thinking, sorcerer, right? But there's also another part of me that thinks barbarian.
A pixie barbarian.
Which would be amazing.
That would be so funny. What would a pixie barbarian even do?
You get advantage in all of your attacks for creatures that are smaller or higher.
That, that, that are smaller? What?
No, remember, because you're a pixie, you get advantage on all creatures that are small or
No, no, no.
medium or
They get
above.
disadvantage against me.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
get advantage on them.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
No,
Sorry.
no, no. Yeah, I feel like I would probably like. Were I choosing for a pixie, I'd probably pick a caster. I
Hmm.
feel like it's kind of like the pixie sweet spot to
Right.
probably either sorcerer or like warlock.
And sorcerers, they have basically they draw from a pool of magic.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Sourceborn, which basically means that you're actually kind of tapping into, as opposed to a distinct creature like most sorcerers, you're actually just tapping directly into magic.
Can I just say that I haven't looked through as much of this book as I should have, and these illustrations are freaking gorgeous.
Oh, I know, aren't they amazing?
Like, look at that. Look at that.
It's such a
Who
just a cool
wouldn't want to
picture.
play that character?
I
Like,
know
she looks awesome.
it looked
Like
amazing.
every time I've clicked on one of these classes, I'm like, well, I want to play that. Well, I want to
Right.
play that. Well, I want to play that guy. Like, they all look really cool.
And like even at first level, you have source. If you decide to go this route, you have source shielding, which means that you can use a reaction to give yourself advantage on saving throws against magical effects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is equal to your charisma modifier because again, these are charisma based spellcasters.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I mean, I can be a charismatic pixie.
Well, I mean, you get plus 2 charisma as part of your class. So
Right, right.
nah, I didn't think you're pretty charismatic. So
Well, thank you. That's that retail background.
right, exactly.
So I will eventually need to have +2 charisma.
That's okay. So I'll take the +2 con, which is very much not me, but I do that myself.
Right, because we haven't done our stats yet. So
Right. Um,
mm-hmm.
and basically, yeah, we're doing. I'm just kind of jotting these down as kind of a separate space for the moment.
Yeah.
Because we will add those in a second.
Yeah.
So we should do our class features. I'm gonna have to read these out now. Do you want to do the Sourceborn?
Is that the only one?
No. You could pick the actual ones from the book too.
Oh no, I'm gonna say Sourceborn, obviously. Gosh, yeah.
Right.
So I get.
Let me see what else Sorcerer gets.
You got all kinds of cool stuff. We don't use focus items,
Right.
which is very cool. Apparently they are somewhat rare, so I'm rare and special, which makes me
You
feel good about
have
myself.
your features are spellcasting and Sorcerer's Origin, which in this case, Sorcerer would be Sourceborn.
Right.
Um, and then there's a bunch of class feature stuff. I'm going to bookmark this when we get to the actual like what your hit points and all that stuff are. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Sorcerers are cool though. Is the point.
Right. Okay.
Also, I have a cat licking my hand. That will not stop.
Paladin again. Oops. I'll make a kind of bookmark here. I also get spells and stuff. I get Divine Sense and Lay on Hands.
Yeah.
And actually, no, don't get spells till second level. That's right.
You're like a fighter helper, you know?
Right. Sticky notes for bookmarks.
Sticky notes are great for bookmarks. That's why
Honestly, the main reason why I have a post-it pad here is for bookmarks and books.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so your character receives a number of benefits from your choice of class. These benefits are class features, capabilities, blah, 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 blah. You also get a number of proficiencies. Record all the features. Okay, so you do record the features now. Okay, so I'll start with yours.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, I'll still skip hit points because I know it comes a bit later. You don't have any armor proficiencies.
Okay.
Your weapon proficiencies are daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs.
Can you imagine a pixie sling? It would be like smaller than a pebble.
Oh, it's even better. Light crossbow.
Crossbow?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm gonna throw needles at people.
Well, a light crossbow, but yes.
I'm gonna throw needles at people.
Your proficient saving throws are Constitution and Charisma.
Okay, I'll click those.
And then we'll have like skills and stuff. We'll get to those in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we have picked our backgrounds already? Because it's really in the first chapter.
No, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure we'll get to that.
Oh, because you're going off the D&D one. Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Possibly in Legendlore, you
Uh,
pick your background earlier. I don't freaking know.
there's there's a actually hold on. I may accidentally skip that. Hold on. Level. Yeah, because there's a whole separate kind of thing for legend,
Yeah.
which I was gonna just do at the end.
Okay, we'll do it at the end.
Yeah, I actually don't see background on here. That's. Oh no, background is the very last thing. That's unusual. I didn't expect that.
Which is weird because even in Beyond, it's not. It's like one
Right.
of
I
the
think it
last
was
things
maybe
you
was
picked.
this is the first version of the book, so maybe over time they realized, oh, that's not a good place to put that.
Well, yeah, because it gives you additional widgets.
Okay, so anyhow, let's see. I have all armor and shields because warrior. I have simple and martial weapons because warrior. I have no tools. My saving throws are wisdom
Mm-hmm.
and right down there and charisma. And my skills, I'll get to that in a second. All right. Okay.
All right.
I think that's it for that. Now let's go back. It's weird using a physical book. It's actually been a while.
Yeah, yeah. Like when I was running Mao and stuff recently, I was sitting here with the physical book, and I was like, "This is hard. I don't have that much desk space when my microphone is out." And I'm like trying to like hold it somewhere where I can see it, but like,
Exactly. Okay, so level, we're level one. It's already sorted out.
yeah.
Record your level, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now we do hit points and hit dice. Your hit dice first level character is one hit die, and your die types determined by your class. You start with hit points equal to the highest roll of that die is indicated by your class description. You also add any constitution modifier. So for you,
That was a sorcerer hit die. I think it's like a D6.
you get
D8.
6 plus your constitution modifier, and your hit dice is 1 die 6.
But I don't have constitution modifiers yet because we don't have stats yet.
Right. So
Should we have filled out our stats already?
No, it's actually a later step.
I
believe it or
don't
not.
like the way this is presented in the original PHP. Like, I want my stats to be one of the first things that I pull out after I pick my class.
Yeah, there's a reason why I kind of reordered things a little bit in Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not ragging on D&D. I'm just saying, like, this is weird for me.
Well, I also think it's a case of, again, like this is I have the very first printing of the book, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure like later versions probably
So
adjust that.
D6 plus con. I'm just gonna write that right now until I know what my Constitution score is.
Okay, now we hit to proficiency bonus first, which is +2. Where is it on this sheet?
It's above the abilities.
Oh, yep, there it is. Right. Okay,
where it should be, honestly.
That's a smart place to put it, actually. Okay, now we have ability scores. We're going to use the one in the book, which is the array. So
Standard
you
array.
choose 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8.
15.
So I'm going to do 15, 14, which makes that a 16 there. Oops, I realized I put that in the wrong place. 13. Put the 12 there. I need decent charisma. So I am. Okay, so I have made a character that makes sense for a paladin, but probably doesn't make sense for me.
Why is that?
Because I just gave myself an intelligence of 8.
Yeah.
But I have 13 wisdom.
Maybe you should switch your dex and your int. Are you very dexterous?
Not.
Because, like, I am also trying to make me, but
right.
This character.
It's an interesting challenge for this specific setting because it's like you want to be reasonably knowledgeable of reasonably close to what you are. Again, this is the idealized version of you, but you still want it to be somewhat reflect you, I think.
Yeah.
At least the way I would like to play it.
Yeah. I gave myself I gave myself a highest in charisma, partially because it's my spellcasting ability, but partially because I do like talking to people, and I feel like that's something I could do.
Right.
And if it's an idealized version, maybe in this version I am the kind of person who can, sway countries with my words, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I gave myself an int of 14, which I think is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I gave myself a con, and this is with the additions I already have, so that's why it's
right.
not the exact array. My con and my dex are both 13, which I think makes sense. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
I gave myself a strength of 8, which I'm probably stronger than that in real life because I did lift a lot of boxes in retail. but
Oh, sure.
that's just what makes sense in my brain.
Also, you're kind of wee now, so
Yeah. I was gonna say now that I'm a 5 inch tall fairy,
right.
and a wisdom of 10, so that made sense to me for my character.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Then what your constitution's what now?
Oh, mine will be a +1.
Oh, actually, let me read you all your modifiers, or read your scores to me. And I can tell you your modifiers.
You think
Or
I
easier.
don't know what D&D modifiers are?
I mean, you might, if you already know them, then never
Let's
mind.
see, -1 for an 8, +1 for a 13, +2 for a 14,
Yes,
0 for a
10.
10, and +3 for a 17.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
It's almost like I've been playing this game way too much.
To be honest, I always around 15 is where I get a little confused at times. But like I have it hardwired in my brain: -1 for 8, +0 for 10, +1 for 12. I mean, those I have nailed down.
I have
But after that, it gets
hit
a little
points.
fuzzy. Okay, so yeah, make sure you modify your hit points.
7.
Oops, I just realized I did that slightly wrong. My hit point maximum's up here, which is actually a smarter way of doing this. Again, actually,
I really like this character sheet. I kind of want to.
The more I use it, the more it's like actually. Really like the character. Kind of want to do a bugbear sheet based on this one instead.
Yeah, right. Can we I mean, we can steal this, right? Like we made this.
We do own it.
We should steal it from
okay,
ourselves.
so describe your character.
Me, but small.
Right. Okay. So choose characters alignments. What is our alignments? Welcome to every Facebook meme in the past 5 years.
Right? And it's just the straight alignments from the PHB, right? There aren't like different.
Yeah, there's no new alignments as far as I know for Legendlore.
Okay.
So I mean, let's be charitable with us and say that we're some form of good.
That's what I was assuming. I think I'm probably chaotic good. And I think that if I was able to be a pixie, I would immediately go way more chaotic than I am right now, because I'd be flying around and messing with people.
Well, that's a good question. I think I may need to take lawful. I don't remember where paladins are now.
Are you
paladins used to have a alignment restriction?
Are you the book paladin?
Oh, that's a good point. Let me see what this says.
Apparently it says to protect like the realm.
No, it doesn't really say anything about that. So, all right. Oh yeah, neutral good, because I do kind of like rules sometimes, but not when they get in the way of being a good person.
Exactly, and I'm gonna be chaotic good because, like I said, were I able to be a pixie, I think I would let that go to my head.
All right, so
it would just be way too much fun. Hello, Crafty Kaiju, and you're right, chaotic good for life. Chaotic good is my favorite alignment. I play it all the time, because it's really fun to show people how sometimes chaotic good isn't as good as it seems.
Right.
When you're running in and just blatantly murdering people because you're like, they're bad.
Just gotta murder people sometimes.
Yeah, no, I have frustrated more than one like paladin with that attitude, and I'm like, yeah, she's supposed to grow over the course of the campaign.
Right. Now we have personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I always like to do this at the ends.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're kind of here in the middle of step 4. But let's kind of pause on those.
Yeah.
Now we have equipment.
Equipment.
Which, on the one hand,
but your background gives you equipment. I'm
right.
So
you
confused.
You choose your backgrounds. Actually, hold on. I think I may have. Did I skip background? Okay, no, I did skip background. Okay.
Okay. So visitor backgrounds are important. Because they're very cool. And I have to say that yours has to be either writer or role playing aficionado.
Right.
It's gotta be one of
yeah.
those two.
So yeah, for people who don't know, these are backgrounds for basically real world people. And let's see, which one was you suggested?
Either role playing aficionado, which is fun because you can be meta, or writer.
Let's see. So deception, insight. I don't know about deception. Writer, insight, persuasion, history, performance, or perception. Okay, yeah, I think I'll work with writer. So I'll use writer for my background. And how about you? For Graphic Kaiju, this is the Legendlore book. It's based off of a comic book called Legendlore. And the premise is that you are playing real people who have been sucked into a fantasy realm. But it is based off of D&D 5e. Oh, I also get a feature.
Have you chosen writer?
I chose writer, yeah.
So I think I'm going to choose role-playing aficionado. It was between that and working poor, because that really is like my background. It's like, you've always lived paycheck to paycheck, you this, that, and the other, you know, like,
right.
Like one car bill can fuck your whole life up. And I'm like, that's true. However, I think it'd be more fun to play role-playing aficionado.
No, I dig you. I actually debated it because you said that it could be meta thing, and like that would be fun. Of the kind of almost lit RPG thing of
being like, I know what this is all about.
Right, exactly. This guy has hate dice, you know, kind of thing. And yes, Graphic Kaiju. This book is published by Onyx Path. The comic is actually published by Caliber, and so we have a license with Caliber to make this book.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Sing Omuse. Somehow I don't see skills. Let's go back to do skills.
Wait. I can speak any one fictional language. Should I speak like Dothraki or something?
Yeah. Or Klingon.
The best fictional
because otherwise the language you speak, if you don't have, unlike normal D&D, unless you're still given a language by a package, you speak the languages you speak, which is English and a little bit of German, at least for me.
Yeah, English, bit of German, bit of Spanish, some Japanese. Not useful in Azoth unless I meet other people with those.
Right. German and French.
Mais oui. Which fictional language should I pick?
What skill level is I have Duolingo?
I just love that it features, like, the language literally says for role-playing aficionado that it has to be a fictional language. Like, you don't, it's not a real language you can take. It has to be like one that you have learned because you're a dork.
Right, like Tolkien Elvish.
Yeah, I'm like torn. Like, do I speak Elvish or do I speak something funnier?
So of my skills, I'm gonna take Persuasion. I already have Performance. I'm gonna take Insight. Okay. Man, I hate to brag on the D&D book, but man, this is not helpful. Okay. So tool proficiencies. I get Calligrapher's tools plus one set of artisan's tools of your choice, which I'm just gonna make writing tools.
I got a disguise kit and a gaming set, so apparently I'm carrying around a D20.
Right. This is a. Oh, sorry, no, I take out. You do get the equipment for your visitor background, but otherwise your equipment is literally what you have on you right now.
I'm wearing pajamas.
You have pajamas. So actually, let's do that right now. It's like I have.
I can't even have my purse. Can I have gotten my purse before we left?
Let me see what it says, because it's a good point. You cross around with whatever items you have on you, your jacket, whatever coins are in your pockets, perhaps the book you're reading, and all likelihood your cell phone.
Okay. I am not dressed for survival, so you know. But I'm also a pixie. Do my clothes switch with me, I guess?
I'm going to say yes.
I'm a pixie in pajamas.
And the Game Master can decide what survives, and there's also a presentable role for whether technology survives. So we're going to skip that. And so one thing about Azoth is that crossing is not unusual. It's rare. It's really, really rare, but it's not like it's never happened before. So they do have a weird black market of Earth stuff. So they'll do things like they'll buy dollars off of you, and euros and whatnot to convert to local currency.
Right.
So I have a watch. I have 2 rings. I have wallets of credit cards. I don't carry cash because who does that? I have a cell phone. I have a hearing aid. I have keys. And I have earbuds. Oh, and a packet of tissues.
Yeah, and like as we were just talking about with like the DM rule, like were I the DM, I would rule that Eddy's hearing aids continue to work as long as he wants them to.
Right.
Because that would be a really weird thing to say. Like
the thing it does say is like if the game master is so inclined, players can roll D100 for each piece of equipment. So that is optional by Chronicle. And yeah, I would certainly argue with like for some reason the process of processing makes it so I don't have to worry about batteries ever again or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Where
Okay,
do you get the rest of your skills?
You get it from your class, which we kind of skipped over. So let me go back to that for you.
No, okay, yeah, I skipped over that.
So you choose 2 from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, or Religion.
Okay, we're gonna go Arcana, Persuasion. On it, thank you.
No problem. I could choose from Athletics, Insight, Intimidation. Do you think I could do Intimidation?
I mean, Dwarf Eddy probably could.
Yeah.
Also, I think you could if you were intimidating the people that you actually wanted to intimidate, obviously.
Oh, right, exactly.
I don't think you would just like intimidate some random person, but I think if
no.
in your way, you'd be like, listen.
Definitely an intentional intimidation. Like, I want this guy to be mad.
Or you want to distract them so I can fly behind them and pick the lock.
Right. I'm going to take Athletics. Not quite me, but I've been walking a lot lately and gone to the gym a couple times. Again, idealized version. So let me. I think that's everything. Let me check Legendlore real quick. Right, no, we didn't want this. So the other thing about Legendlore, like I said before, is that the Romans had visitors before, and they have, although no one understands why, crossing, people are brought in for a reason. You don't just cross randomly. You don't just kind of accidentally fall into the world. Azoth pulls you in, and you are there to perform some kind of purpose, which is your legend. So you can choose to design your legendary character creation, or you can wait and see what you want to. But for this, we're going to make our legend now.
Okay.
So what legend does is it gives you legend points. Legend points can either be on your character or in a communal pool, depending on where you generate the points from. So as you do things that involve your legend, you generate legend points. If the group does something that helps everyone's legends, everyone gets a communal point. Otherwise, if it's just you, you get the point. And you spend them to get advantage on attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. You also spend it to introduce narrative elements like the guard carries the keys to RSL on his belt, or to add a friendly game master character. So they're basically kind of like Fortune in Pugmire, or Momentum in a Trinity game, or a Story Path game. And this replaces the inspiration mechanic that's in normal D&D 5.
Yeah. Also, there are 5 sample legends in here, which is probably what we're going to pull from right now, because designing your own takes a little bit longer. Yeah. But it does very much encourage you to design your own and tells you what you get for designing your own. Right. So that's very cool. Right,
because you want to have something that's a positive and negative. And then also you get 2 skills, languages, or tools to which the legend grants you proficiency. So you are a little more powerful than a starting D&D character in this game.
Yeah. I would say that for you, I would do Column of Stone or Region of Dragons for your character. Yeah, if you look at the bottom and it says like examples of when it grants legend points, that's probably the easiest shorthand.
Dispensing justice and bringing reconciliation between 2 battling group, teaching others a group of skill friends. Jesus Christ, yes, Dixie, thank you. Okay, yes, it's Region of Dragons. I like that.
I'm gonna do Suzerain of Blossoms, which is encouraging someone who's in despair in the midst of failure, helping a person to great practice skill, or acknowledging the limits of your own responsibility and other people have their own choices to make.
Yep, that's fair.
So, not meddling.
So I can choose wisdom, insights, intelligence, history, and language of choice for 2. So I'm going to choose common language. So at least one of us can speak as a thought. And then options were insight or history. I don't think I took insight yet. No, I did take insight. So I guess it's history. There we go.
Because I'm a pixie and I want to be mischievous, I'm taking Thieves' Tools.
Of course.
I think I need proficiency in Thieves' Tools. I think one of us needs to be able to pick locks.
No, I completely agree.
And I'm going to choose Wisdom Insight. I will learn. I will talk through you, and it will be funny.
Nice.
Oh, no, wait. I already have that from something else, so I'm not going to take that. I think I will also take Common, then, just to make our
All right, okay,
easy.
so I missed this part. A group of players can also choose a communal legend for their characters. So we're not doing that, but if we wanted to, we could say our collective legend is blah, and then we're all acting towards that.
Yeah, but I really liked those 2 that are pre-gened for the purposes of this.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Regent of Dragon sounds cool as hell.
It does. It sounds metal.
It's like once people know you're that, they're gonna start coming to you and asking you to help out, and it's like, well, Eddy's our production manager for a reason. You're the person that we're like, hey, Eddy, things are going weird. Can you help out?
Right.
And you do.
So since you have magic, you could choose spells.
Which I will probably not do on stream right now because it takes so long to choose spells.
But I will say that there are quite a few pages of additional spells.
Mm-hmm.
So like Sorcerer actually has a pretty decent list of new spells.
Yeah, totally.
I'm curious. Paladin. I have a couple in Battle Cry and Magic Vestment.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's really good charts for things like conjure animals. It actually tells you like every kind of animal you could conjure. I think it's a little bit more in depth than some of the D&D equivalents of a few of these, which I really like. And yes, there are quite a lot of new spells for the realm, which I super enjoy.
There's also a lot more true rituals.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Although I just found a typo. Sorry.
I didn't edit this book.
Fair enough, because the Y for
That's
you
great.
should be there actually. That's a weird typo.
That's a very weird typo / layout thing. Whatever. That looks like it happened maybe in errata.
Maybe
like somebody added a
like inserted text here.
Yeah, and missed it.
You know,
oh well.
It
doesn't have
That's
a typo.
fine.
It's on a real book.
No, you're right. No book is perfect. But yeah, I mean, so this is you get 111 pages of just cool character options. Like even if you don't want to use any of the Azoth stuff, that's 111 pages of just new stuff to use for any 5e game.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we have the realm proper. It talks about kind of the history of the setting. Here's a map that's actually drawn from the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into the 10 different nations and the burgeoning 11th nation that not everyone recognizes yet. And also this neat bit of dangerous places, which are just cool places to have adventures at. So yeah, I mean, this is. Oh yeah, we did miss our personality traits. Although again, it's kind of an odd thing because it's stuff that we would do.
Let's see. Talkative, outgoing, stubborn, anxious. I'm gonna go ahead and say that in Azoth, I probably still have ADHD, but I don't have to take Adderall to manage it.
Right.
Just because that's my personality at this point, I don't actually know who I am.
And that's another actually a good point. Is one of the things I like about Legendlore is how it handles disability, in the sense that in a lot of games in this style, they tend towards and you get your limbs back, or in my case, like your hearing works fine. Right, which is very much erases disability.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
So by using the logic of it's your idealized self, like you just said, is like if ADHD is a part of how you view yourself, then you keep that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would be with fully abled hearing, so I would probably still have hearing loss.
Mm-hmm. You just won't have to worry about your hearing aid like you do now.
Right, I have a magic hearing aid, but I can also still shut it off and take it off or whatever.
Yeah, which is a great power move when you're negotiating with like a king. Like,
Just bloop. The I don't know. Have you seen the Hawkeye Disney show yet?
yeah, we you're my hawk guy talk guy.
Oh, right. So I never. I try not to assume who
We
hasn't seen
talked
these.
about it constantly. Because you're my
Fair
hawk guy
enough.
talk guy. Remember? You thought that was
That's right.
hilarious.
That's right. Well, anyway, the move of him talking with Kate and then putting the hearing aid in is a real thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's part of why I was so excited to talk to you about it because
Right.
you're my like closest friend that has hearing loss, who uses a hearing aid and who has done that before.
I
If like sound gets overwhelming or just somebody gets really, I
have
want to hear me
absolutely
more.
done that before.
I bet it's
So,
great in public places, like if you're like getting your hair cut and the guy next to you is having a conversation you just don't want to listen to.
well, actually, I have to take it off anyway for my haircut,
Oh,
so
perfect.
it works even better. Did forget a couple things real quick. Armor class. Um,
Mine's like none.
it's yeah, because we don't have armor yet, so it's 10 plus dexterity modifier, which makes me 9,
I also
which is
can't
great.
have armor. It's a
Um,
I have no armor proficiency as a pixie and a sorcerer.
and then your initiative modifier is equal to your dexterity modifier, which is -1 for me. So I'm going to be a really bad paladin to start.
That's okay. I love the fact that my walking speed is 5 feet because I'm supposed to fly.
Right? You just don't walk, you just fly around.
I think I actually mostly just sit on your head.
Or my shoulder.
Yeah, I just I, I just perch and let you do all the hard work.
Nice. Okay, let's switch back.
Oh, okay. Are you ready to see a new fact?
New
Fact.
fact.
Wait, some of them at all. Whatever.
Oh
I'm just gonna
no,
go back to this screen.
that's fine.
Sorry for anybody that just saw a whole bunch of weird shit on screen. I don't know why it said it updated them and then didn't. So, but if that's my only like OBS mistake today, I'm doing all right.
Right, that and being a little quiet. Those are pretty bad, pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I got the title right. We had sound from the beginning. We
We've
are
almost
on
figured this
screen.
out.
I don't know why it updated one of my slides, not the other two. So here we are.
Did you maybe have to push save or something? I
I
don't know.
don't know. It's OBS.
Who knows?
Whatever. Either way, we're done with that, and that was really fun.
Yes. So well, there's one question in the chat, which was about what happens if everyone speaks Common and you speak English. And I think it comes down to as written, there are different languages, and therefore you don't initially speak the language. How Legendlore, the comic, has handled it is that the common language is mysteriously close to whatever the native language of the playing group is.
Yeah, I would also personally, if I were going to do this as a group, I would say that because of all the crossings in Azov, it's
Mhm.
effectively like most European countries where everybody pretty much speaks English, like at least some
Right.
English, even if that's not their native language. Because like if you go to Germany or France or Italy, like most people took English in high school and college because you have
Right.
to. So that's how I would kind of hand wave it. Is like there's been enough crossings over the years. They speak all kinds of freaking languages in Azov. You might run across some little town in like a southwestern corner of nowhere where they for some reason speak Japanese because some Japanese speaker came through and like lived
Right.
there for a while. Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what's the thing is that's fun about this is because it's not the D&D cartoon in the sense of you are the first people to come across and they have no idea what you're like. This is a planet that has seen an airplane before, maybe a crashed one,
Mm-hmm.
but they've seen an airplane before. They go, oh, that's the cell phone things you guys have. So they're going to be a little bit aware of what our world is like, and that absolutely has shaped the culture. One of the interesting things about the background is that there are currently conflicts going on between nations because they're trying to acquire specific pieces of crossing tech.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like you can have things like sometime in the recent past a tank came through and now everyone's trying to fight to get access to that because that's a huge game changer for conflict.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic of basics of the setting.
It's a bit basic.
I can't talk today.
That's fine.
But yeah, no, it's a super cool setting, and honestly, one that I think I might try to run my D&D group through at some point soon. Because I think the playing yourself, but weird, is a fun way to play. because you know
It
who yourself is.
Well, and also the thing I like about it is that it's great for a short game, right? It's like, something weird happens, we all fall in, and we play that, and we have a weird adventure, and that's it. I mean, you can just do it that straight.
Yeah, yeah.
But the character creation itself becomes a bit fun, which is nice. Like we did here. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, kind of like, I think you're this, oh, I think I'm that.
Exactly.
Uh, but if you wanted to go longer, you can play as like you start to integrate into this culture.
Mm-hmm.
And also you can just play it as a straight up D&D setting. You can just either take the crossings out or just play characters who are native to Azoth,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just play as a cool D&D set that has an interesting wrinkle of modern tech to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a very flexible setting. It can adapt to a whole wide variety of things, which I personally find very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, and you can definitely like turn up or turn down the amount of crossing traffic there has been. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want it to be like, oh, every 100 years we get visitors, and it's just a thing that we occasionally happen, that's fine. And if you want it to be like, nah, this happens all the time. Like it's just
Right.
there's new people here every week. They're usually gone within a week.
Yeah, and there's an interesting. It's implied by the book. One thing I've always liked is the book is set immediately around like the very first issue of Legendlore comic,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a very clear reason for that, which is that the characters in Legendlore comic come through and they make some pretty standard changes because they're the protagonists of the comics. So
Yeah.
naturally, they're going to affect things, and we want to make sure the setting was set before all those changes happen, so the player characters can have the opportunity to do that if you want to.
Yeah, it's Narnia, it's the magicians, it's all the shows where that's what happens. The protagonists
Right.
show up and things change because you're the protagonists.
Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is that the comic was set in the now of when it was published, which was the early 90s.
Yeah.
So either you can play yourself, you could say that time is weird between Azoth, and you can do things like 5 years ago, a biplane came through, and 20 years ago, a steamboat came through. And so, like, time is much faster in Azoth. And so you can play different kinds of age of technology, which means that if you play a longer campaign, maybe futuristic stuff starts coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just set the game in the 90s.
Yeah, or if you are a fan of the original comics or you want to read the original comics, you could definitely say that, like, yes, those things happened, but for some reason stuff fell into decline afterwards, or maybe their improvements stayed for some things, or maybe some force came in and took away the improvements. Like there's so many explanations you can give for things changing.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I always try to keep in mind. Is like it doesn't have to like nothing's set in stone at your table. You can have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And if people are curious, we don't publish the comics again. Caliber publishes the comics.
You can get them on Drive-Thru Comics though.
You can get them on Drive-Thru Comics. There are 3 collections of them right now, which are all kind of they're scanned and updated, so they're black and white, but they're updated to the best resolution again. So not just like scans of paper.
Right.
I will note that this was an independent comic published in the 90s, so it's some parts of it probably haven't aged well.
Right.
But something that the development team and the writers for Legendlore, the book, wanted to do is to make sure that it was adequately updated. So even if the comic is occasionally a little rough in areas, we tried to smooth as much of that as possible. And Caliber Comics licensors were very positive about us being a chance to do that, because they said they don't want to have this set in the 90s. They want to have it as modern as possible.
Yeah, we even got to talk to them when we went to DragonCon that one year.
Yeah.
They little booth. We're like, oh, we're working on stuff with y'all, kind of. It's cool.
And they were like, yeah, cool. Who are you again? They have a lot of stuff going on.
Also, definite shout out to Steffi and the rest of the team and all the artists, because the art in Legendlore is not only very good, it's very different from a lot of what we do at Onyx Path, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's closest maybe to like an Exalted Splats, but even that's very different.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's really diverse and super inclusive, which I know that Steffi and Liz and everybody else who worked in the book are really passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very happy with how that turned out. Like, I just like seeing it. It makes me happy.
Yeah, really. Like I was involved in the early stages of it, and I remember like there was no feedback on, hey, tone this down or anything. I mean, it was really, there was just some slight tweaking of the language to make sure that the connection to the comic book was a little clearer. That's basically it.
Right.
But they're just like, yeah, no, be as inclusive as possible. So like, for example, you saw, we glanced over, but on the sheet, there's a pronouns field on the sheet. So that way, you can, if your idealized self is a different gender than you were born with, you can just change that if you want to,
Right, and also, and once again, in terms of not erasing people, like if you're trans,
Mm,
you can stay trans. And
right,
if you really want to, if you personally want to, you can change your assigned gender at birth. But that's generally not what most of my trans friends say they would like to do. So,
right,
it would really be up to the person in question, and it's
right,
not for me to have any comment on it.
right. And so it's great that we can do that stuff, and there's also tons of support for like safety tools and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot to kind of help with those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, it's just a really cool setting and a really cool idea. It was one of the reasons why I know Rich really gravitated to it and said that he wanted to do it, is because this is a distinctive style of D&D
Mm-hmm.
gameplay that you just can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
Also, I will say that on page 162, there's an illustration that includes a pixie with green hair who has bright orange wings. And as most of my friends at least know, I do have green hair, and bright orange is my favorite color, including the fact that my car is this color. So
what
I'm
she's
going to
saying is
say that
that
that's me.
retroactively that is you.
Yep. I am putting myself in the book on page 162.
There you go. Just
Just
backwards
a,
through time.
just a little orange and green pixie, just hanging out, having a good time. By having a good time, I mean fighting a giant skeleton, because that's what she's doing.
Well, if people want to talk to you about your orange and green fixation, where do they find you online?
It's technically a secondary colors fixation because purple is also up there. You can
Okay,
find me,
good.
Dixie Saganite, pretty much everywhere. Obviously, I'm on the Onyx Path Discord. It's a great place to talk to Eddy and myself. Eddy has been doing these really cool dives into like Pugmire background information that I've been
Mm-hmm.
enjoying. So definitely come to the Discord and check that out if you haven't. And of course, we'll be here again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you can find me here at Pug City on Twitter. Also, that's my website, pugcity.com. And yeah, Ian, I do this every time. I always close the window and it's like, wait, I should figure out what we're going to do next time. So
What's
let me pull
next?
it
What's
up
next?
real quick, right? Because everyone needs to know what's the next thing. What have you done for me lately? We've done Legendlore. Next time is going to be Trinity Continuum Aberrants.
Ooh, I actually have made an aberrant character before. This will be fun. I'll make someone completely different from my last one.
Yeah, and I think we had talked. Our current plan is that we're going to still make aberrant characters, but we're going to try to see if we can make specific superheroes and try to emulate them with the system so we can show how flexible the aberrant system is.
Yeah. Yep. We might even pre-choose some of our like stats and stuff just so we can get right into the powers because the powers are where it gets real fiddly with aberrant.
Yeah, if you watch some of our other streams and when we made other Trinity characters, since it's kind of similar, we're probably just going to breeze past that.
Yeah.
And then get to the stuff that's distinctive to aberrant, because it's not more complicated. I wouldn't say that, but there's a lot more flexibility and therefore a lot more flipping through books and thinking about things. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
zeroing in on the Nova specific template might be a good idea.
yeah, it is the difference between making like a fighter and making a sorcerer. Once again, like I'm not gonna fix spells on stream because that's boring.
Right, but if
But
we had
but
if we focused on saying, hey, we're going to talk about the spells in the game, then we would have said, okay, let's make
right.
let's focus on that. So
And because we're gonna focus on aberrant, we need to
right,
like focus on the powers that make an aberrant an aberrant.
absolutely. So
I'm
we'll
excited.
see you all in 2 weeks.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.